to a Hope 1032 podcast.
As followers of Jesus, in whom all things were made, we acknowledge the Darug people as the traditional custodians of the country of where this podcast is recorded. We acknowledge their continuing connection to the land and waters, and thank them for protecting this land and its ecosystems since time immemorial. We pay our respects to elders past, present and future, and we extend that respect to all First Nations peoples listening today.
Hope Book Club with Georgia and Simone. Because life's just better with a book.
Hello, I'm Georgia.
And I'm Simone.
And welcome to episode 48 of the Hope Book Club podcast, where we gush about books, we talk about literature from a hope-filled Christian lens, and we hope this podcast makes you think, makes you laugh, but most of all, makes you read. And I've been doing a lot of reading, Sim. I'm feeling very pleased with myself, and also just, it just makes you feel good when you read a lot of books.
It does, yeah.
In this episode, it's going to be a little mini episode. We're going to have a quick chat about the books that we've been loving recently, the ones that are at the very top of our TBR pile, which was a very hard decision for me to choose one. We're going to be answering some of your comments. And also at the end, we're going to be talking about our very first live event of the year.
Exciting!
Which I'm so excited for. This, as always, will be a spoiler-free episode, so any of the books that we talk about, we will not spoil for you, and also all of the ones that we mention will be in the show notes as well. So, Sim, let's start with you. Without further ado, what book have you been loving recently?
So I've been rereading a book that I read a couple of years ago.
Rereading. Hang on. Yeah. Are you a rereader? Like, are you a person that rereads books?
Not all books, but there are some books that I feel like there's more to discover when you reread them. Like, it's like peeling back layers or seeing things you didn't quite connect the first time. So there's a few books, that I reread.
I don't think I've ever reread a book.
That's amazing.
Like, ever. which is bizarre to me because, like, I think about it and I'm like, yeah, I should, because like we rewatch movies, right? But I think it's also like I have this anxiety about not having enough time to read all the books in my life. And obviously I'm not going to have enough time, but it's like, I've already read it. It's fine. I can't do this. I need to keep pushing on with new books. But I don't know.
Oh, well, I reread this one recently. So it's Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman.
Yep.
So great book. It's about Eleanor, who she leads a very simple life. She does the same thing every day. She wears the same clothes to work. She has the same meal deal for lunch every day. It's just the same sort of thing. And so she seems like she's sort of content and happy and just doing the same things. But then you start to realize that maybe she's as happy as she actually seems and that there's a lot more going on as to why she is the way she is. So I kind of love it because it's a mystery, but it's a mystery about a person and who they are and what has led them to be where they're at and how they can then, I guess, heal and move forward in life.
That's a really interesting take on that because I also read this a couple of years ago now, and I remember liking it but not loving it. And I didn't understand the hype. So what was it that caused the reread for you? Because maybe I need to do the same.
So for me, it was sort of being able to knowing then, I guess, some of the end things.
Yeah.
Being able to reread and see those little moments that were hints. And they definitely were their hints throughout the whole thing. So yeah, there are times she comes across as fairly unlikable and very sort of you're not quite sure what's going on. And some of the things can come across a little awkward or inappropriate, I guess.
Sure.
To be kind of reading or said or talked about in that way. But it's not until you get to the end and you kind of discover why that it all starts to click into place. And so I reread it going, okay, I know the end now. How does that change my reading of her and her character in the lead up? And it did.
That's really interesting. Okay, that's good.
I do have to say, though, definitely a few little trigger warnings for this one. There is some, childhood trauma, abuse, bullying, alcoholism, all of that in the book. So just be aware there are some trigger warnings there.
One that I've been loving recently, and I brought the physical book along just for some show and tell.
I cannot do that.
Yes, we've already established you're a Kindle reader. I respect that. This is called The Best Kind of Beautiful by Frances Whiting. She is an Australian journalist, and what I love, I actually just really love journalists turned authors. There's been so many great ones in the last few years. Trent Dalton, who is one of my absolute all-time favorite authors, was a journalist for a long time before he became an author. And I think there's something just because they have been honing their craft for so long, but it's like a different kind of writing. I feel like journalists can generally write characters really, really well because they've met so many people.
I was going to say, do you think also like that training and sort of delving into the truth of things kind of comes through? There's a lot more factual elements.
And I actually really found this with this one. So I'll read a little bit of the blurb. It's about two people, Florence and Albert. Florence St. Clair is a loner. Albert Flowers is a social butterfly. Good friends who think they know each other. But somewhere between who they are and who people think they are lies the best kind of beautiful. So you hear a lot of it from Florence's perspective, and I love both the characters so much. They are both deeply flawed. Florence comes from a family of singers. They had like a family band, and her father passed away suddenly, quite tragically, a few years ago. So she was dealing with the grief of that. She's refused to like rejoin the family band. So it's all of the kind of dynamics of like, you know, she was very close with her dad. Then she found out some stuff about her dad during this book that, you know, changed his image, and she had to deal with all of that. But she always has this friend in Albert Flowers, and they work together. But you kind of realize that they both have quite different lives outside of work that they keep from each other. And it's essentially a lot of miscommunication, but also just about the slow unraveling of finding out who people are. And it's beautiful. It was a really beautiful book.
Which is kind of life, isn't it? Like,
so this was like, honestly, it felt like reading about real life. You know, like some books, they feel like books. They feel like stories. And you're like, okay, like this is nice and this is escapism for me, but I can't really see real life in this.
Yeah.
This was as real as you'll get. And
nice.
Yeah, so it was really beautiful. I enjoyed it. It was like actually quite a light read, even though it dealt with, like I said, like grief. There was a couple of mentions. Florence and Albert have both been through some deaths of people close to them. So
yeah, so a lot of like, grief in there and trauma.
But really fantastic, and actually quite a light read. I read this while I was on holidays in Queensland. So
nice.
All right, let's move on to TBR piles. Sim, I want to read so many books all the time. This is my dilemma in life. I actually genuinely have anxiety that I won't be able to, you know, read all the books that I want to in my lifetime, which is actually true because there's so many books.
You're never going to be able to read everything unless that's literally all you do.
So I have a lot of books that I own that I haven't read. So I would say I have quite an extensive physical TBR, but I wouldn't say I have them in like order of like anything I want to read. Do you have any form of physical TBR?
The short answer is no. Okay. Being a Kindle reader, like I do sometimes have like a few books ready to go on the Kindle, but again, like you, like not in any necessarily specific order.
Okay. So how do you keep track of your TBR then? What you want to read?
That is the never-ending challenge, isn't it? So I'm terrible. Like I'm one of those people, I have notes literally everywhere. So I will always write them down. Like I will see something, I will grab a photo when I see something, like either in the shops on my phone, and like screenshot it. My camera roll is like 50% just like covers.
Me too. And I never go back through them. No. I don't know why I think I'm going to like review my camera roll.
I have literally like my phone has notes, my computer has notes, I have notes around the house. Never remember to look at them. There's just random notes everywhere.
I don't know why I want to become a person who uses Goodreads, like, you know, that's like such a great app for, you know, reviews and sorting your books. I will never be that person.
No, I start every year. There's a point in like my life where I start. Never
Have you started this year?
No.
Okay.
I feel
you didn't even attempt this year.
At some point, I just need to give up on it.
Okay, well.
Except the way that I read.
You must have something on your TBR. So what is one book that you're really, really looking forward to reading?
So I really want to read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like the TV series is coming up, so like I really want to read it. Maybe I want to read it before. And this is the debate I'm having with myself, right? Is You know how the book is 95% usually better than the series or the movie?
I would say
or
99.9, but yes.
There's
All
the
right.
occasional book that, series adaptation that's better. So the question then becomes like, do I read it before I watch the series and get a little bit disappointed by the series? Or do I watch the series and then read the book knowing that I might, I'll have all those images from the series that'll impact my reading of the book?
That's actually a really good question. I can see the merit in the second option because I know how much you love film and TV.
Yes.
So, you would probably genuinely appreciate the TV series for what it is. Don't even think about it being a book adaptation.
Yeah.
You would probably appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But I think knowing me, I don't want to go into a book knowing how the story ends. I much rather a story unraveling in a book than I do
a series.
A series.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess it comes down to personal preference.
So honestly, I have been going back and forth, and I probably will read it before I watch the series. So that's why it's sort of the top of my TBR at the moment.
And I've heard a lot of good things about it. I actually haven't read this one either, but
yeah, I've heard some good things about it too. And this is where I'm like, oh, I think it might be worth reading before watching the series.
The one on the top of my TBR is Anthony Doerr's Cloud Cuckoo Land. Now, I absolutely love this author so much. He was the Pulitzer Prize winner on his 2014 novel, All the Light We Cannot See. Have you read that one?
Yes.
It remains one of the best books I have ever read. It tells the parallel lives of a 7-year-old French girl who's blind and her father's a master locksmith. So it's set in World War II. The Nazis come and occupy France and they have to flee, but they have to take this. So if the father works at the museum, they have to take this crown jewel from the museum and basically hide it with them. Also tells the parallel story of a German boy who is immensely good at fixing things. He is actually recruited by the Nazis eventually to, and he's like a child at this point, recruited by the Nazis to fight for them. And eventually the girl and the boy's lives intertwine at the end of the book. So it's that parallel thing.
Yeah.
And then it all comes to a head. It is the most beautiful book. But this one is his second novel. I believe he hasn't had one since. So 8 years writing this novel. Again, it's quite similar in terms of the parallel lives thing. Yeah. It says, across time and space, 5 young dreamers are bound by a single ancient text. Together they tell the story of a world in peril, of the power of words, of resilience, and of hope against all odds. So this is going to tell 5 different stories. From all the reviews that I've read, they say it's pretty much brilliant, but you don't know where it's going until right at the end. You have no idea how he can bring it all together, but he does. So I am most excited.
Like that.
Most excited to read this one. Now, let's answer some comments from our lovely book club members, which I have here on my phone.
Thank you to those that have messaged or, commented on the Facebook
voicemails.
group. Yep.
Thank you. You can always send voicemails as well. We have a number, 0298547025. That is in the show notes as well. Yep. And, we'd love to hear from you, recommendations, what you've been loving. Anything like that. But these are just a few of the comments that we've gotten over the past few days. We asked what was the book that you just couldn't put down, and Julie said Cross Stitch by Diana Gabaldon or Gabaldon. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
Is that one of
It's one of the Outlander series.
Right. So have you read or seen any of the Outlander series?
I started watching the Outlander series, haven't finished, and I did start to read the book. I have to admit it's one I haven't kept reading.
Right, okay. So this is just one of, because is it a whole book series?
It's a whole series.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know how many. I think there's quite a few now, but I could be wrong.
Okay, all right. Outlander. I know a lot of people do love Outlander. Yeah. And then a lot of people have found Outlander from the series and then have gone back and read the books. So.
Yes.
Janine also said she has been loving Lessons in Chemistry. And I have loved that one as well.
I read that one.
I read that one last year. It was a trigger warning for this one as well. Deals with sexual assault, but in a not a really, really heavy way, I will admit. It follows the story of a woman in the 50s who is a scientist and is just essentially trying to get respected for her profession, which is just so difficult.
So difficult.
She ends up falling in love, having a child, and then her partner dies suddenly. So it's all about her having to navigate science and the struggles with that, but also young motherhood as well. So
and single really parenting in that era on top of that would be
it's a really, really great novel. So I recommend Lessons in Chemistry. And I love this from Larissa, who really loved The Garden of Hopes and Dreams by Barbara Hannay. That was our first review if you want to go back and check out the last episode there. She said that she really enjoyed it. The rooftop garden sounds magical. You could really feel the sense of community spirit and helping others in times of need. And in a world where we get so caught up behind screens, it was a gentle reminder about the important role communities, neighbours and churches can play in supporting those around us. It challenges us to step out of our comfort zones and get to know those in our circle.
Yeah.
I think that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely. She's completely nailed that.
And last one from Sally Ann, saying that she's actually started going rereading the Christy Miller series from her teenage years.
Oh my gosh.
It's always her go-to when she wants to refresh. I have never heard of this.
Have you never? Okay,
no.
So this was a huge series back in the 90s, I guess, when I was a teenager as well. Like Christian novels very much like follows kind of Christy, who it's sort of like a period piece, I think, if I'm remembering the right series. But yeah, it was an absolute staple, like a classic 90s. I think almost all of my friends read that series in that era. Like it was definitely kind of like the Christian Babysitter's Club book, if you will, where everybody read it.
Okay, that's actually really fun. Maybe I'll have to go back and read it. I feel like I'm missing out. Now, Sim, our very first live event is coming up at the end of March.
It is.
Tell us all about it, please. So excited for this one.
So for those who haven't attended a live event with us before, it's like a Zoom.
Yeah, it's live but not live.
It's live and it is live. We'll be live together, but you can do it from your own living room, from your own couch.
In your pajamas.
In your pajamas. Pajamas are 100% acceptable. Make a tea or a coffee or whatever hot drink you love. Mm-hmm. And you can join us while we kind of delve into a book together. So it's usually in about 45 minutes. It's not a huge commitment, but it's a really fun way for us to get to know each other, for those who are in the book club to be able to meet each other through screens, but to really kind of have these conversations in person and, live in person through screens.
Yeah. So we're going to be reading for this one.
Yeah. So we're reading The Wattle Island Book Club by Sandy Docker. So this is an Australian novel again. It's about a book club, which we felt was a little appropriate for our first live together. And it really it goes through a couple of different time eras. Really Australian, really kind of light, not too difficult to read, that kind of thing. So check that book out, see if you can, read that along with us. Again, we don't do spoilers. So if you haven't finished it or you haven't read it, you can still be a part of it. Head to the show notes or go to hope1032.com.au. And you can register for the live event. Registrations mean we can send you the link and maybe a little extra surprise as well.
Just a little extra surprise. All that information will be in the show notes, by the way. So don't feel like you have to, frantically write things down. So we'll catch you back here in 2 weeks for our next episode. We will be reviewing Before the Coffee Gets Cold with our very first special guest as well. So very excited for this one.
Excited for the special guest. I know you guys are going to love it.
So if you have read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, or if you're planning on reading it, would love to hear your thoughts. You can send us a voicemail, like I said, 0298547025, or leave a post in the Hope Book Club Facebook group. All that info, once again, in the show notes. And we'd also love this podcast to reach more people. So the way you can help us with that is rate it, review it, subscribe, basically share it with all your friends that love books. We would just love to get more people involved in this community and just loving reading again, because
Yes.
it can be a hard thing to kind of keep on top of sometimes. So
Yes.
sometimes you need people around you to encourage you to continue doing that.
And sometimes just to help you pick the next book.
Yes.
Because honestly,
I'm so
that
indecisive.
is so difficult.
All right, we'll catch you next time. Sim, I believe you've got a quote to end on.
Yep. So a great book should leave you with many experiences and slightly exhausted at the end. You live several lives while reading. And that's from William Styron.
Maybe that explains why I'm so tired.
Always exhausted. It's like it's a whole journey when you read.
So true. Catch you next time, guys.
Bye.
Hope 1032. Thanks for listening.